What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Batting Six, the channel where we talk about your Toronto Blue Jays and just baseball in general. So if you're new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you to all the new subscribers. But yeah, we're still continuing to talk about the Blue Jays offseason and specifically free agency. And now we've got some GMs talking, we've got winter meetings and everything, all the good stuff coming up, and the Blue Jays need to be looking forward to trying to improve on the World Series runner-up season that they had. And we've been talking already on this channel a lot about position players. We've talked about Kyle Tucker and Bo Bichette, and we've talked about what they could do with impact bats. But a topic that has been emerging and a lot of things that the Blue Jays have been discussing internally, and that's kind of been leaked out to the media a little bit, is that they are going to be looking at pitching, and that's something that they should improve on. And I agree with that as well. Obviously, you need to make new additions. And in this article on Sportsnet here, I believe this is Shai. This is Shai Davidi. Basically, the Blue Jays are going to be looking to fill some holes. And, you know, with the pretty much inevitable departure of Max Scherzer at this point and a potential departure of Chris Bassett, they're going to need to fill some spots in the rotation. Of course, you're going to have Gausman and Bieber and your Savage back, and Jose Barrios likely going to come back. And you've got, you know, guys like Eric Lauer that will fill in, you know, as like a swingman or a late inning guy, and potentially get some starts going every once in a while. You know, Sir Anthony Dominguez is a guy that is still out there in free agency as well. Of course, it just begun. But what do the Blue Jays need to do? What do they need to go out there and do when it comes to pitching? And I think that it's inevitable that they're going to go out there and look towards the top of the market. And what I would like everybody to do is, I know we're all excited, and that's me included. I'm reading rumors. I'm refreshing Twitter like a madman at some points. But we need to understand that not everything that comes out here rumor-wise is going to mean that the Blue Jays are going to be doing something, because I think there's a lot of people right now that are going and putting out tweets and putting out messages, and it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of smoke and fire, and it doesn't seem like stuff that's going to be immediate or things that could even happen at all. So just be careful with what you're reading, because there's reports out there that the Blue Jays are going to go crazy and they're going to spend every dollar that they have, and they're going to get Tucker and Bichette, and they're going to get a front of the line starter and a bullpen. Guys, I would love for that to be the case, but I think we have to tone down a little bit in terms of what they're going to spend, because they still work with a budget. Even with going to the World Series, they're probably still going to be working with a budget. But that's not to say they can't improve and that they won't spend some money. And like I said, I could be wrong, and they could just be spending a whole bunch of money that we don't expect. But one thing that I find interesting is Ben Nicholson-Smith talking about Tatsuya Imai. And this is Ross Atkins speaking in terms of the quote that he gives here. This is on Atkins on Imai, a good player with a really interesting arsenal that had an incredible year. So we've done the background work, and we have some more work to do on that front. But I'm glad that he's going to be an option for the industry. And for me, this is the perfect guy that could pitch for the Toronto Blue Jays. Tatsuya Imai is a guy that is going to get a lot of interest. He's going to be posted very soon, I believe on the 19th of November. He's a great pitcher, and I think the Blue Jays are probably looking towards the top end of the market, like I said. But if I was to pick one pitcher that I want for them to go after, it's Imai. And the reason why is because he's 27 years old, and this is a guy that apparently doesn't want to play for the Dodgers, which clearly is good for us. A 1.92 ERA last season, and look at his numbers from before: 234, 324, 230, 245, 0.92. Some of these are small sample sizes, but his numbers are really good. And, you know, he doesn't really give up a ton. He throws pretty hard. You'll see he's got a deep pitch mix highlighted by again, that noise. I'm not sure what's going on with this computer. I really need to figure that out. My apologies. Highlighted by a fastball that sits 95 and can touch 99. He also features a slider that runs arm side, a splitter, a Vulcan change, and a curveball. So this is a guy coming from the MPB. He's from Japan, playing, I believe, 8 seasons there. He throws the ball hard. He's got a really good mix of pitches. It just makes a ton of sense for the Blue Jays to go out there and get a guy that throws hard who might cost you a little bit less than some of those starters that are out there. And if that's the case, he's still going to be probably 150 million plus to sign him. I'm not too sure. I'm just throwing a number out there. It's probably going to be less than 200 million, I would think. Some people are saying he won't get a Yamamoto type of contract, which obviously was much higher than that. So this is, to me, seems like a no-brainer. Why not go out there and try to get this guy, throw some extra money at him, and get a guy that might cost you a little bit less than some of those other names? And to be honest with you, some of those other names I'm not that interested in. Again, I'm interested in like the Ranger Suarez's. I think Framber is a guy that's a really good pitcher, but the clubhouse issues, like I don't know if that's going to be a thing that the Blue Jays have to steer away from. Dylan Cease is another really interesting option, but he's hot and cold sometimes. I'm interested in the Blue Jays upgrading, of course, in terms of that rotation. Tatsuya Imai, to me, seems like such a no-brainer, and I'm really hoping that the Blue Jays are a serious contender for his services. I think they were saying teams like, I'm sure the Dodgers are still checking in, but like the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Giants, probably the Orioles. I would imagine the Orioles look like they want to get something done. Anybody that wants to get better, and I'm sure there's tons of teams that would be looking towards this guy. He pitched 163 innings last year. He had 10 wins, like I said, a 1.92 ERA. Again, if the Blue Jays can get a guy that's like a sub-3 ERA, who's 27, still pretty young, I think the Blue Jays should be all over this. And the pitching market is going to be a little crazy this offseason. I would really like the Blue Jays to get in there, get a guy that can play in your rotation, and your rotation would be really solid. Could you imagine if you have Gausman, you have Savage, you have Bieber, you get Imai, and then you have Barrios, who hopefully can bounce back. And if he does, if Barrios is a sub-4 ERA, this rotation could be the best rotation in baseball. So all you need to do is go out there and try to acquire another top-of-the-line starter. The Blue Jays already have 3 really solid options. Again, Barrios could be another good option if he bounces back. There was injury and fatigue there, so we'll have to see. But I want you guys to leave your comments down below. What do you think of Tatsuya Imai? Hopefully I'm saying his name correctly. If I'm not, please correct me in the comments down below. If you're new, make sure to like this video and subscribe. If you love the Blue Jays, of course. This is Batting Sixth. I'm Andrew Pillick. I'll see you in the next one.